What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Good Game Reviews. Here to do another game prediction. Um, this one, you already know what it is. We go down the list. We look at how each part of the team matches up as far as like the skills positions and whatnot. And we determine which side is better. And whoever has the most likely outcome of winning the game. So let's go ahead and get started. But before I get started, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Quincy Carrier. Quincy Carrier is a Browns fan. He does a lot of Browns content and just a lot of like just sports content in general. So good YouTuber to check out. Has a lot of good videos. If you like people blasting Ryan Hollins, uh, he has a good video on that one. I enjoyed that. Uh, Again, the name is Quincy Carrier. Go check him out. So let's go ahead and hop into this video. First thing I want to talk about is the quarterback position. Um, and I want to start with Cleveland. So Cleveland has Baker Mayfield. Um, excuse me. He's been doing. He's been doing as much as he could. As much as he can with what he has to work with. Um, but as far as the numbers go, as far as like touchdowns and like interceptions numbers go, he has 5 touchdowns. He has 11 interceptions. Um, so just looking at that, I mean, I know he has, he's had his struggles, having to deal with like a lot of things around him, as far as like having like a new head coach on the year and all these new pieces around him that he has to get familiar with. But I mean, yeah, it's 5 touchdowns to 11 interceptions, which isn't like a good ratio. So we flip over to the other side. We have Tom Brady. He has 11 touchdowns on the year and 4 interceptions. So yeah. Then again, the 4 interceptions, that's not good either. But, I just don't like interceptions at all. But yeah, I mean, you look at 4 versus 11, it's yeah, so in terms of, passing yardage, Tom Brady also has the edge on that by a few hundred. He has 1900 he has over 1900 passing yards. So um yeah, I think by the end of the game, he should get over that 2,000 mark. You know, so um, I'll go ahead and give the advantage to Tom Brady, being that he's performed better than Baker has so far, and I'll just chalk it up to that. Um, as far as running back positions, I had trouble with this one only because I looked at just the overall production that Nick Chubb has brought. And you look at the two leading backs for this team. You look at Nick Chubb and you look at Sony Michel. Nick Chubb has over 600 yards on the ground. Meanwhile, um, Sony Michel is like creeping up on 400. He's at 390. So, I mean, they're tied in as far as rushing touchdowns. They both have 6 touchdowns, but you look at the numbers and you like, oh, they're tied. Well, you have to also look at the fact how they got those numbers. Sony has pretty much gotten most of those numbers on goal line situations, so that's pretty much like inside the 5 type deal where he's just like, all right, we're gonna plunge it in. Like the defense already knows they're gonna run, but it's just that they just like overwhelm the opposing defensive line, so they could find a way to get Sony Michel into the end zone. Um, but on the opposite end, Nick Chubb has done like a lot of the heavy lifting, as far as the running game goes. Because if you look at any of the other running backs, the numbers they don't really show as far as the other running backs. Like he's like miles ahead of all the other guys. Um, and that brings me to my last thing, which is the room, not just the production, but the overall room. Um, Son Michelle, James White, um, Brandon Bolden, they've all found ways to contribute in this game, not only by rushing the ball, but also in terms of catching. And that's just, something that you also want to include in. So just like the versatility that everybody brings. So, excuse me, I'll give the Patriots that nod. You know what? You know what? On second thought, I'll change that. I'll change that. I'm going to split this up. Yes, I am going to split this up, only because it's just way too difficult to take, you know, the running backs room, the Patriots running back room over the Browns, because of what Nick Chubb has just done. I'll just go ahead and split that up and give each one like 0.5, 0.5. Just break it up like that. On to the wide receivers. Excuse me. On to the wide receivers. I'm gonna give that one to the Browns, only because Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham, they both are pretty much over 400 in terms of their passing yards. Not a lot in terms of touchdowns, which would kill them, considering that Julian Edelman has 2 and Phillip has 4. Um, Looking at that, uh, I mean they're pretty much killing in that regard. In terms of scoring, the Patriots are they're winning in that department. But looking at the Cleveland Browns, just the yards and um, yards per game and all that, and just like what they're bringing to the field, because you got like 2 legitimate number one guys on the field. So, and that's a lot to deal with. And the Patriots are going to have to, you already know that they're going to take notice of both of those guys. It's not possible to double team both of them, I don't think. So somebody's going to get that one-on-one matchup, and depending on who that is, that corner is going to have to like just play one of the best games they play, because these are some talented guys right here. So I'm giving it over. I'm going to go ahead and give that one to the Cleveland Browns. The tight end position, I'm going to go ahead and give that one to the Patriots, only because the tight end position with the Browns haven't shown me a lot. Njoku only played 2 games, so I haven't really seen much of him. But Bennett also, he's only played, I mean, not Bennett, but excuse me, Ben Watson has only played, the 1 game. But looking at all he brought in that 1 game, in terms of like catching the ball, in terms of blocking and everything, um, I think the Patriots are, glad to have that type of guy, in the offense. And just moving forward, it just looks like it's gonna pay off. So I'll go ahead and give that one to the Patriots. O line, I'm looking at in terms of sacks. So Cleveland Browns has given up 16 sacks. Their O line has. Meanwhile, the Patriots have only given up 10. I'll just go ahead and go with the Patriots O line based on that. Defensive end, Myles Garrett by a long stretch. I'm just gonna go ahead and give it to him. He has 9 sacks. That's double what the Patriots leader has, which is Jamie Collins. He has 4.5. Garrett has 9. Yeah, so numbers. That's why. So I'm gonna go ahead and give the defensive end spot to the Cleveland Browns. Defensive line. To be honest, I'm gonna go ahead and just list it all out. Defensive line, linebacker, cornerback, safety. All of these are going to the Patriots, and the reason why is each of these positions, like all of those guys have been balling out. Um, you name it: interceptions, forced fumbles, passes defended, tackles for loss. They're pretty much dominating in all of those spots. with those linebackers, with those cornerbacks, with those safeties. I mean, all of that. So I mean, I didn't even want to like break it down too long. I just wanted to go ahead and just give it to the defensive line and the linebackers and the cornerbacks and the safeties. Um, yeah, I don't know. That's like the first time I ever done that, but it's gotten to the point where you just have to do it like that because the positions on the Patriots at those spots, they've been killing it. They really have been killing it. I mean, Gilmore himself has 9 passes defended and 3 interceptions, and you have Devin McCourty who has 5 interceptions. So yeah, um, special teams. I ended up giving that one to the Patriots only because I broke it down. Each side would win or lose in like a certain spot, so it kind of got even. Uh, but once I got to the yards that were allowed, once they would do like kickoff returns and punt returns, I saw that the average was lower for the Patriots. They didn't allow uh, as many yards as the Cleveland Browns did, and it wasn't like that wide of a margin. It's just that the Patriots allowed less yards on those returns, and the Patriots don't really have a lot of kickoff returns. As far as their team having to go defend kickoff returns because they haven't allowed teams to score. Not let me let me fix that up. They haven't done a lot of kickoff returns themselves because they haven't allowed teams to score. So they haven't had to do a lot of kickoff returns. They've been doing more punt returns than anything. But as far as like defending against that, the Patriots, they win in that, especially when you look at the fact that they just brought in Justin Bethel, a Pro Bowl special teamer who has like a similar role to what Matthew Slater would bring, and we all know how good Matthew Slater is. So you have 2 guys who are Pro Bowl level on the same team on special teams. I mean, yeah, you had to give it to the Patriots on that one. Uh, and then last but certainly not least, I always like to end on coaching. Coaching is so important when you bring up these matchups. And Freddie Kitchens, I like the guy. I do. He seems like a really cool guy, and he definitely has the heart of that team because it's just like when he speaks. I mean, it sounds like a guy you would really like to play for. But just like the production that he's brought on the field, there's been some questionable moments. There's been games where you thought he should have got the ball more into Odell Beckham's hands. Um, there's moments where you think, hey, he should probably be running the ball more, in like certain games. And it's just been like certain calls that have like kept the Browns, out of like a few close matchups. So I'll have to give it to Bill Belichick only because he's as much as he's done, just in these games so far in this season. He has his team at 7-0. His defense has been balling out. He's pretty much had hands on, more hands on the defense than in like the few prior years. He has his hands in how that defense is working. So yeah, I mean you would have to give it up to Bill Belichick, and usually it's probably gonna fall to Bill Belichick in a lot of these matchups because you can't really name a better coach other than Bill Belichick. So I know like having that category is like slick unfair. You have all these other things that like look at the players, and then you have like one category that look at the coach. And it's like okay, it's obvious that that's going to go to Bill Belichick, but coaching is is just as important, and you got to include that spot. You know, um, but I have the list, and once again, you know how I do it. I put it on the napkin. You can see I made that little alteration with the 0.5. I just had to do it. It was just like Nick Chubb had done so much. Um, he had done so much to the point where I just couldn't leave him off. Uh, but you can see where you get down to the defensive side of the ball, and yeah, the Patriots, they just kind of like take that one away. So if you see if you happen to come across the video, once again, it's Quincy Carrier. Me and him did a kind of like a live stream type thing where we just did like a preview of the game, and we gave at the end of the game at the end of the video we gave our score predictions. In that video, I said 30 to 23, either 30 to 23, 30 to 24. Because even based on this list, I still feel like this could be a close game, only because of like the off like just all that talent on the offense that the Browns have. Um, yeah, I don't want to count those guys out. So as well as the Patriots been doing good, as well as they've been doing on defense, this offense they could challenge. They have the potential to challenge them, especially with that running game with Nick Chubb. If they come out and start pounding the ground with Nick Chubb, and we can't get them off the field, it could be a long day for that defense. So I still think the Patriots could win. I just think the score can be it could be a little closer than it has in these other games. Patriots been winning by like 20 something points. So I mean, they could win by 10, or they could win by a single score. So I'm looking at it like that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to go over. How I do these predictions. Uh, like, comment, subscribe. Tune in for the review. Like I do every time game's over. I do a review, and check out for some rants, because I might have some rants depending on how this game goes. I might have some rants prepared, so look out for that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm out.